Life is about relationships, both at work and at play, also known as socializing. Small talk is a key to your success in establishing relationships. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, and we inspire. And I just had read a couple of articles by a gentleman named Matthew Royce and a gentleman named Marino Sagaro that talked about things that you shouldn't do when you're small talking, okay? And it's a very, Eli, it's a very, very important skill to have, to be able to talk with people even when you don't know them very, very well. So this is one of the things I want to point out to you now. They, for the most part, pointed out the negatives, and we're going to go into what they said, but first I always like to start with the positives. So why don't we start with the positives about being able to be a successful small talker and establish relationships. One of the common sources of anxiety for people at work is little social interactions with your colleagues. Now that we're headed back to a hybrid work world, we're going to interact more face to face again. You must have some small talk skills to be good at socializing. Luckily, you can learn these skills. Small talk helps you grow your relationships with your colleagues, friends, and new acquaintances. It can help you create meaningful social connections. When you have brief conversations about topics unrelated to work, you can bond with other people. Bonding with others is the key to meaningful communication. So your goal with small talk is to become Bond, James Bond. So how do you break the ice? Well, you employ all of your senses. It's amazing how many different roads to success all have the same beginning, and that is finding a starting line. What's a starting line here? Use your sense of sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing to help get you started. All right, what the heck does that mean? Well, let's start with appearance. For the most part, don't you check yourself out in the mirror before you leave the house? Your hair, your clothes, your shoes, and so on. Most people do. One place to start is to give a sincere compliment about an article of clothing. Nice dress, or nice blouse, or nice shirt, or tie, or shoes. That looks sharp. Was it expensive? Or where did you find that? Or, my family is fashion challenged. Where did you learn to look so cool and comfortable? You know, shopping is such a challenge nowadays. Did you get that online or in the store? Shopping online is a challenge for me. What's your secret? Oh wow, I love those shoes. Are they as comfortable as they look? Where'd you get them? I like that cologne, or I like that perfume. I bet my boyfriend or my girlfriend or spouse would really like it too. Where'd you get it? You see, what you do is you start your conversation with a small statement and then follow up with a question to get the conversation started. You want to know a good place to practice? You ever been on an airplane or a bus or a train and you're sitting next to somebody you don't know and you're going to be there for a while? Start with a non-threatening, warm smile. I'm Eli's dad, and you are? Then introduce yourself. And as an example, recently I took a trip to Boston on my vacation, go up to Maine, so I'm sitting on the plane. It's like, are you from Boston? Oh, me too. Where'd you grow up? Or, what are you looking forward to most in Boston? Are there any sites, restaurant, or events that are not to be missed? That's if you haven't, if you're not from there. You get the idea. Give them the opportunity to teach you something. Because what's a person's favorite thing to talk about? Themselves. Why? Because they're an expert on that subject. When you get someone to talk about something they know, there's no gap in the rap. What does that mean? There's no awkward pauses. Continuity in conversation equals comfort. And comfort is the first step to bonding. The key to continuity is asking questions where the other person doesn't need to do any heavy pause creating thinking. So don't make your starting line question what's your position on global warming or gun control or Donald Trump. Make your starting line question easy. Ask a question where the other person knows the answer, or you've given them the answer in a multiple choice question. And you already know this. Have you ever spoken to a child? If you're talking to a child, how old are you? What grade are you in? Do you like school? Then get them to expand on their answer. What don't you like about it? Or what do you like best about school? How about when you're talking to adults? You make a slight change. What do you do for work? Is it interesting? Challenging? What don't you like about it? Or what do you like best? What advice would you give to someone that wants to be in that field that you're starting out? You see, people love to give advice. Why? Because that makes them an expert. When you accept their advice, that is a bonding experience, a connection. It's the beginning of a relationship, something to build on. Now, there are other ways to connect. A smile that's returned, a joke or an experience that's been shared can be a connection. The fortune is in the follow-up. The key to bonding is continuously connecting one subject to another. Successful small talk is compounding one follow-up conversation to another somehow related conversation. How do I know that that's a skill that you can learn with practice? Because it's essential in sales to gain the trust of your prospect, sincerely and authentically. Now, not only did I have to learn the art of small talk for sales, but I also had to teach that skill as a sales trainer to others. In sales and socialization, high impact begins with trust. Trust begins with a relationship. Relationships begin with connections. And, Mr. Bond, Agent 007, connections beget bonding. Okay, there's a positive lesson. Next time we get together, we're going to talk about things you shouldn't do in small talk. And until that time, always remember, hey, don't ration the passion, fashion the passion. I'm Eli's dad.